Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and in this video I'm going to show you 40 plus rat holes, caves, hidden base locations, everything you need to know about Ragnarok. Now, I've taken my time, found as many as I could. I'm sure there's still thousands of other bases, because if you just go down this little chasm alone, there's hundreds. But I'm going to go ahead and start you off with probably one of the more powerful ones that you should take advantage of. But I will say you might want to keep in mind that this one probably will get patched pretty soon. For those of you that are like, you're not showing the chords, if you look at the upper left corner of the screen, it'll always tell you the chords. So in case I don't look at my map or anything like that, they'll always be right there. But you're going to look for the land bridge, and you're going to go over to this little corner over here at the chords, and then you will find a little hole that goes up and into the map. Now, there is no mesh in here, so it's not technically an illegal base. There is the stretched material, so they will eventually patch this. It is a question of how long, but there's a lot of really good locations inside of here. But this is kind of similar to some of the other rat holes that exist on center and stuff like that. So a pretty good overall starting location. But I'm going to go quickly through these. I just want to show you the locations, and yeah, it's kind of that. So that is my first one. We're going to start with the caves, and we're going to go to cave at number 1. So all right, so all of the caves on this map, there are 25 basically different caves on the map. I'm going to show you all of them, some small ones, some big ones, and yeah, that's kind of just how it is. So this cave is probably one of my favorite caves to build in. People don't, like, because there's so many entrances, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the greatest to build in PvP, but it's like a good little fob location or a good little area to have, and it is the actual Wyvern Scar, or the backup Wyvern Scar. And if you go inside of it, I'm going to go ahead and gamma up a little bit here. You'll see that the entire thing is buildable, and it's kind of a big area. Now, again, because there's so many entrances, it might not be the greatest overall main base, but it is a good base location to have access to, because you have quick access to fire wyverns, and there's a lot of little areas that you can go inside of this area. So just a quick little cave to show you. Now let's go ahead and go on to cave number 2. Now, that's rat hole 2, cave 2. All right, so next cave on our list, this one is over in the actual canyon, and again, the cores are in the upper left. If you go to the canyon and you find there's the land bridge, this is an old school cave. Again, not the greatest overall PvP base location, but you will find that it has a deep pool of water in it, so you could have a small fob, or this could be an area that you have your water creatures, because this is an area that is deep enough where you can raise pretty much anything inside of this without any concerns, and send some ceiling turrets will make it just a good little raising area to have access to. So this is just a quick little cave for that one. Now, let's go ahead and go to cave number 3. All right, so this is a little bit of a different cave. It's more of because it's a hidden area if you know what you're doing. So this is the waterfall over in the actual canyon. You can see up there. And the reason I like this one is because you can actually build a ceiling base up in here and have it pretty hard to see, or just have a good general ceiling base. I wouldn't necessarily call this unrateable, but because it is pretty high up and hard to notice, and most people kind of just are not checking this area super often, you can use some cliff platties and build some pretty decent ceiling bases. Because of putting against that back wall, it makes it a little harder to hit with a Quetzal. So just a quick little spot to show you that one. Now, cave number 4. And here we go. All right, so this is an old school one. It's a little bit more powerful than it used to be. This used to be the waterfall cave over on the canyon. But because they removed the waterfall entrance, there's actually a rat hole up above it. I'm just going to give you like a little, I'm not going to show you this because I refuse, because I hate it. This is a Pelagornis rat hole. So if you throw a Pelagornis out, I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick. If you throw a Pelagornis out through this, you can go to the other side of this, and it'll allow you to actually get on or ride it, or you can also throw any water creature out in here. And once you do that, you'll be able to ride the actual creature, and it opens up into an absolutely disgusting rat hole. Now, for those of you that are like, I'm not quite sure what you mean, you throw the cryopod into this little hole right here, and then you can kind of just sit down and then go over here, and it is completely open. Now, again, not the hugest rat hole in the world, but I don't know how you're going to raid that super easy if you've got some decent turrets and stuff like that up and running. So, sweet little mini rat hole. And then obviously the cave base on the other side of this. Did I just like go through it? I think I did. Oopsies. We'll go ahead and go back to this other side. So this cave behind the waterfall over here, the reason that it's not a bad one, or I guess it's better than it used to be. There used to be 3 entrances. Now there's just the 2. Again, not a super powerful base location, but if you're on a server that has one of these entrances blocked off or something like that, it's not a bad base. And the chord's again upper left corner just so you can see it. So that is that one right there. So a little bit of a perk with the next rat hole as well. All right, cave number 5. All right, so this one is another kind of old school cave. This one is on the edge. You can see right over here. Here's the chords that I'm at. You have to break a rock right here. Now, in order to build in this one, you've actually got to build on a raft. So you have to build a raft base in here. But the cool thing is this rock will respawn right here. So you can, unless people know that rock is right there, it blocks off the entire thing. You can have a completely isolated base. Now I'm showing you, so if someone's watching this video, they might check to see if something's in here. But you can't build in here unless it's on a raft. But the raft you can place. Toss down a raft just so you can see. And should be able to place the raft. There it is. And once you have a raft, you can build on the raft in here. Oh, is it not going to let me now? Oh, you can build outside the cave and drive the boat in the cave. That's the other solution. You just drive it out here and then build on it and you're good to go. So that is a neat little, it's just a fun little location that you can kind of get started in, more of a starting base than an actual true cave location. All right, now cave number 6. Sorry, I had to sneeze. All right, so anyways, this cave is another one that is a little bit different. So you can kind of see right here that this is a good amount of space in here. And this cave is, it used to be, I don't know what you want to technically call this. I guess it's, if you look in the upper left, it's the Oluf jungle. But it is a cave that has a couple entrances from the ceiling. And if you go from the ceiling, there's actually a few little like rat holes that you can hide in this cave at decent heights. You just have to kind of look around the corners, and there's some like neat little areas you can like tuck a base away. But there is another entrance on the ground floor over here if you use the water. And there's like a little water tunnel that you can access over here. But this is a massive base location. So on a larger server, you could easily hold something like this off for like water tames and stuff like that. Still probably better to use Mushroom Cave, which I'll show you in a little bit here. But this is not a bad overall base location. All right, cave number 7. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, cave 7. This is a dual U-shaped cave. In the chords that I'm at right now. I'm gonna go outside of it so you can kind of see what I'm looking at right here. This is like the cliff plat, or no, the cliff that's above it, and you can kind of block off both sides. It's a pretty good cave, not too bad, kind of smaller, but again, a good starting point. A lot of these are more of starter caves to get you guys started, or a little bit of a, if you have a little bit of a bob or a teleport zone, these are great places to put them. All right, cave number 8. Now this one's a little bit stronger. This cave is a, you cannot walk up to it cave, so it's pretty good for that reason right there. This right here is the entrance to said cave. Gonna kind of fly up so you can see it. It's right outside of Viking Bay, inside underneath that little skeleton right there. And it's kind of like a weird little entrance right here. It's a really strong cave. This is the only way in or out. You cannot fit a racer through here, so it has to be stegos and carbos. And then this massive room right here is pretty nice to have a big defensive wall. And then it's got a nice little backup secondary area over here to have like the rest of your base. Now, the cool thing is inside of this, you can also build a tech bunker, so you don't need nearly as much space. So definitely capitalize on that. It's a pretty good overall area that you can actually build quite a bit, in all honesty. So really, really good cave here. I've seen a lot of people build strong bases on official servers and stuff like that in this one, so you can easily do that here. All right, cave number 9. All right, this is next up on our list. This is a fan favorite. This is just because it is the Waterfall Viking Bay cave. Now, if you don't know where it is, pretty easy to find. Viking Bay, go into the skeleton. Once you're inside of the skeleton, you will get inside of this giant room, this giant chasm in here. It is very popular. It's a little bit less strong on official because you can just raft raid it, but if you're on a server without rafts, it's a lot better because it's obviously you have the elevated ground, and if you have some decent turrets and stuff like that, it's really hard to hit this actual base without rafts being enabled. So pretty good spot. Definitely recommend this one if you have access to it. All right, so let's go to cave number 10. This is arguably everyone's favorite cave on this entire map, and that is because it is the Mushroom Cave. Now, Mushroom Cave is incredibly strong. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my volumetric fog so we can see a little better, and we'll turn off volumetric cloud as well. Where is it? Why can't I find cloud? Am I just being lazy? Yeah, being lazy. All right. So this base is actually under the water. And it's one of the most popular base locations from original ASE. There are Carcanos in here now, but the cave is pretty similar to how it used to be. You can kind of just go in the water. It's got a massive amount of space in here, which is super nice, obviously. But the entrance is a little bit large. It's over here, but because you don't have access to things like stegos and frustrating creatures to raid with, it can only be really raided with carbos and water tames. So it can be pretty good if you've got your turret set up right, especially with able to place turrets on the walls and stuff like that. It's a really hard base to raid. So you can certainly use that. But the cords, you just have to go to the bottom of the ocean over here, and you will find the entrance right over here, and you will go ahead and go up and in, and that is Mushroom Cave. Nothing super special about it. Pretty strong, especially if you have a larger tribe that's defending it. It is a very big cave. Did I really not have cave 11? Whatever. I don't know. Maybe I just lost power in it. Whatever. All right. Cave number 12. This one is a pretty good one. This is just, I like this one just for the reason that it's inside of this castle right here. And basically you go inside the castle and you go down. And that's just what we're trying to do here. You'll see that there's a few different things that you can do to go down, but it's a completely isolated. Wow, it is dark in here. Gamma 4? Wow. Okay, game. Gamma 3? I guess because it's technically a cave. It makes it kind of a little darker, but you can keep going down all the way down and just keep running. And this whole thing is buildable. And it will go all the way down. And notice how I'm still going. A lot of buildable space in here. But you can see there's a couple of like little side rooms and stuff like that. It's like a little dungeon chamber, if you want to think of it that way. But a pretty good overall place to build. Now, there is a bottom thing that it does end up going to, so that is why there's so many stairs and things like that. But you can see that this right here, it's like a little wine cellar down here, if you want to think of it that way. Kind of cool. Unfortunately, I don't think you can harvest these unless they've changed it. Let's go ahead and pull out a hatchet. It'd be nice to be able to harvest them, but you cannot. So that being said, it will end up going into this little bottom cave down here. And this bottom cave will drop into the actual... Oh, wow. Did they fix it? Oh, they closed it off. Oh, okay. So this is actually pretty strong then. So they closed this off. This used to actually connect to the underground water. Oh, maybe it does still. It's just hard to find. Yeah, it still does. Okay. Okay, yeah, it still does. It's just, wow. There's a lot of metal. Okay, cool. So it's a hidden entrance on the back side of it, but it does connect at this point to the underground cave network. But it's really hard to find that underground cave network. So pretty strong, obviously, because you've got, I got lost already. My goodness. Really hard to see in here. Okay, there we go. So, but you can build the entire thing. So it's pretty strong for that purpose, just because you can build it. If you can build it, obviously it's strong. So let's go ahead and go back up so you can see where we're at. It is a big zone. There will be Arthropleura, bats, all those kinds of things that will end up spawning in there. So you will have to be careful for those reasons, but you can kind of build in the castle above as well. Not a super great location to build, but it can be a fun location, especially on less unofficial servers where it's a little bit more popular. All right, Cave 13. All right, this one is a little bit different as well. So if you go to here, this is Triple Waterfall Cave. In order to get inside of it, you will literally just come to this, like, I don't know, triple waterfall. that's just what it is. And you go to the triple waterfall, and inside triple waterfall, you can go into this area back here. There are two entrances, but because you have access to water and it is a massive zone, very popular on official to build in an area like this. You're pretty sure you can also build a tech bunker now in this area, so definitely might want to use those. But it is a really, really cool base, and this is just due to the fact that it has a ton of space. So yeah, pretty good base location for that reason, because you have the access to two entrances, and it's just a lot of space on the inside. This one's a flying entrance, and this one's a walk-up entrance, but they're pretty small entrances, so you can defend them pretty well. Yeah, definitely use those, but everyone knows about Triple Waterfall. All right, Cave 14. All right, next up on our list, this is a smaller hidden cave. Kind of, people don't typically check these areas, but it's 2 caves right here. And again, there's where you're at. It's kind of like in the middle of the, right next to the, I don't really know how to describe it, but there's 2 caves. It is 2 caves with metal inside of them. You can see here's the first one right here, buildable in this zone. And then there's one directly above it. Beavers can spawn over here, so it can be kind of a, sometimes people will check beaver dams and find you, but they're very kind of just, no one really checks them because they're small and out of the way. So if you kind of want to stay tucked away, these are very good base locations for that reason. So yeah, can definitely capitalize on those. So, all right, that's cave 14, cave 15, and another good one. This one is a huge cave. Just you can kind of see where we're at. There's Green Knob. Here's the entrance. And again, the cords are always going to be in the upper left corner. And this is a 2 entrance, massive cave. If they would close one off, this would probably be one of the most amazing caves in the entire game. But there's 2 entrances, so it's a little harder to hold. But you can see there's a walk-up entrance on this side. And then the other side is also, that one's much bigger. This side's a lot smaller. But it's also a walk-up-able entrance. So I would say that this is not a bad base location, but to hold it can be a little bit difficult just because you have 2 entrances, even though it's a massive overall cave. So you could definitely do what you want to do with it. All right, so cave 16. All right, cave number 16. This one is a ice cave. It is a very cold cave. You'll see that the actual, even though my cold and heat resist is decent, this cave is freezing. So this used to be a cave with like penguins and stuff like that inside of it, but they got rid of all that stuff. So that's kind of unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. All right. So it kind of leads you to this little area right here next to this waterfall. Now this waterfall, just so you can see it, has nothing that you can really access, even though I wish it would, because I feel like this would be such a good base location for a lot of caves. But unfortunately there's not. Like, I wish they had waterfall caves there. But there's the hidden cave right over here. Small little entrance, more of a good teleport point than anything else, and a good overall cave to know where it is. All right, cave 17. All right, another cave. I'm going to go ahead and show you the entrance into this one. This is a very popular PvP base location, especially on official, where you have, it will regularly turn into lava over here. It is literally called Lava Cave, but you can go inside of it, and inside of it, it is a completely buildable zone with lava as the floor. So if you have some decent creatures that push things off and stuff like that, or even some pyromanes, which they don't take damage from lava, it's very hard to raid this base location, because obviously with a bunch of turrets up in here, and you can build on this back wall over here without having to worry about a thing. And then the entire thing can be chalked up with a whole bunch of like basilisks and stuff like that. So that entrance is a really good choke point. Very popular base location on official as well as unofficial servers. A lot of little nooks and crannies that you can hide generators and stuff like that as well. So it makes it a just really strong base location in general. All right, that is Lava Cave. All right, cave 18. This one, we're starting to get over into the Highlands region. This one is the first cave, more of like a rat hole than an actual cave. People don't really know it exists, but inside this little stream over in the actual Highlands area, you can run up inside this stream. It used to be called Micro Crystal or Crystal Cave, and you can, it's not very big, obviously. I just hit the end of it, but it's a good teleport zone. You can toss down like a teleporter and a couple of turrets in here, and no one can really get inside, or even just like a little starter base, because it's obviously 1 or 2 turrets. You're not going to be able to build much in here, but it is a cool zone to actually have a little startup. Just a neat little thing, so you're attracted to that. All right, so that is base number 18. Let's go ahead and go to base number 19. All right, this one is a commonly built cave location on unofficial, less so much on official servers, but it is a cool location. It is a giant pool of water that you can have some water creatures out inside of if you wanted to. And it is over in the Highlands. It's Highlands Cave. I don't remember. There's an actual cave for it, or a name for it, but you can kind of go inside. Longer entrance, decent size overall cave with water on the inside as well. So it is a fun base location for that purpose. Definitely a popular cave to build in. Definitely a good cave, but because it's got a bigger entrance, it can be kind of harder to hold. What is this? It's a little micro fall point. You can put a generator down there, so that would be good. Not a bad place. kind of hard to hold just because of the fact that it's a larger sized entrance. So if they were to make a smaller entrance, much better place to hold this area. So definitely think about that. All right, so that is the next cave. What cave are we on? Cave 19, cave 20. All right. All right, next on our list is another Highlands area cave. Cave is less strong if you are on an official server, and this is due to the fact that it is a water-based cave. If you have a creature that is big enough to go in here because it can fit almost anything, I think even Tusos can technically fit past this area. And then it can also be raft rated, but if you're on an unofficial server where rafts might be disabled or something like that, it's actually a pretty good overall cave because on the inside, it is a massive zone. A lot of space to have water creatures out. So if you had enough water creatures in here, it'd be obviously hard to raid some like Tusos and stuff like that. Maybe some sharks. And maybe if someone puts like a wall there, I mean, I can see it being not too bad. But it can be a little bit weakened just due to the fact that it can be raft rated, and then also Tuso or anything blocks in line of sight with Mosas and stuff like that as well. So, or just send in a million carbos and it's kind of just over at that point anyways. All right, cave 21. All right, the next cave on our list. This one is kind of a old school cave. It used to be an artifact location, and this is over in the Redwoods forest. It's a dual entrance cave, and inside of this one right here, it is a very large zone. There used to be an artifact over here, but obviously not no mo. It is kind of a neat location. There's lots of little holes in it like this one right here. And you can kind of hide inside the log tubes to like put generators in areas that are a little bit harder to get to. But it is just a dual entrance cave with two sides. You can see this right here is the other side. Kind of a cool little zone. You could build it, not super strong, but a good cave, not great by any means. Definitely because the dual entrances, it makes it more difficult to hold. We want to isolate, single entrance caves. Those are typically the ones we want to go for. So yeah, kind of cool, but not the greatest overall cave. So 22. All right, so this cave is a little bit funky. Now, the reason that this cave is funky is due to the fact that the temperature here is -43. Which is supposed to be murder snow, and there are two entrances to this cave, which is the only reason it's not super broken. But if you were to block off one of the entrances like an unofficial server, it's not a bad place because it's a huge cave. It goes back a long ways, and the freezing temperatures make it so it's really hard to wear just flak. So you've got to wear like tech or what's it called? I can't think right now. Fur in order to raid this one. So having fur is kind of required, otherwise you'll die almost immediately. So someone would have to be very careful in order to raid this with an otter. You can do it too, but yeah, so two entrance cave. You can kind of see that I'm going back here. There's an ice wyvern somewhere over there. Don't know where. And then obviously here's the other side over here. And yeah, so good cave overall, but because it's dual entrance, you would have to have a lot of defenses up in here in order to actually make it any decent at all. But if you're on an unofficial server where they have one side blocked off maybe or something like that, it is a really strong cave because it is a long cave, so you can have multiple layers of defenses and stuff like that. But again, that is something that you would have to have probably on an unofficial server, less so much popular on an official server. But because of the temperature in here, it can be super strong. Can be. All right, cave 23. This is a new cave, an incredibly strong cave. People have been calling it a rat hole. It is not a rat hole. It is a pre-built cave. It is on the new island, and so this is, I'll show up on this one. There's that giant mountain, the waterfall on the new island, and then you can kind of tuck yourself back and away in here. The reason people are calling it a rat hole is because it's literally a human-sized entrance. I'm not even sure carbos can actually fit through this. They might not be able to. And then you've got a entry room, which is super cool with another drop-down point. So if you had enough defenses in here on like players only and stuff like that, it might be really strong, because the carbos and things would get stuck down there. And then you've got a backup room where you could put most of your stuff as well. So really good base location. It is a kind of not huge zone, but like for a single player, duo player on official server, it is a awesome base location to have a good strong base. All right, base number 24, or cave number 24. This is the first cave on our desert area. Now, there are like 10 or 15 caves over here that are just like this. They are kind of tuckaway caves, is what I'll call them. But if you look and see the giant chasm, they used to have what used to be called desert crack and things like that, but they got rid of it, unfortunately. This is now kind of updated, so there's, instead of desert crack, there's just a ton of offshoots that go way back and in, and you can kind of see this one goes way back all the way over here. You can put some I mean, I wouldn't say it's a great official base location, but it is kind of like a tuckaway, so you could have a decent amount of stuff back here, and people probably would never even see you because it's hard to want to go here. Terror birds are your biggest nightmare over here, though, and yeah, that's kind of just what it is. All right, so that is the last of our wow, I can't speak right now. That is the last of our caves. We're gonna go ahead and go to our rat holes now. And rat hole number 1, after that first couple that I've shown you, this one is kind of out of the way. Again, this one is just a tuckaway inside of a neat little area over here. And just so you can see where we are, this is that area that I was showing you next to the Wyvern scar. And there's a little bit of a hidey-hole right over here. Not a massive rat hole by any means, but it's a good little spot to tuck away a few basic things or to have a smaller size base. So yeah, not too bad. Now we'll go to rat hole number 2. All right, rat hole number 2. When I found this one the first day, I was like, this is crazy. So this is a rat hole that you can essentially get down and in. It's inside of the actual bridge location. And basically all you're going to do is you're going to go to this bridge. You're going to go, there's 2 entrances. So that's one thing that people don't realize. This is an entrance point over here. This is how I found it on accident up front. You go over here and you can kind of go inside this entire area. And the whole thing is buildable. Now, it can be a little less powerful because it can be rated by mechs and just mesh swing you. But it is a very large zone. So you have a lot of space in here. So the whole thing is not rateable for that, or by mech meshing. But it is a very good location because it takes up a lot of space. And obviously, because it's kind of like the only entrance, or again, the only 2 entrances are little tuckaway corners. It is a very strong base location. Now, you can drop down. I'm not remembering exactly where the other entrance is, but you essentially just crouch and drop down next to one of the pillars, and that is the other entrance point. Let me go ahead and ghost out of here. All right, so pretty sure it's like right here. Yeah, it is. All right, so the other entrance point, you would simply just crouch and drop down and in. And that is how you get to the other side of this. But it is a good overall base location. You can't mech mesh the entire thing, but you can mech mesh a lot of it. So it is a great rat hole, but not like broken rat hole, if that makes sense. So good base location because there's a lot of space in there as well. So that is rat hole number 2. All right, rat hole number 3. This one is another strong rat hole. And again, you see the stretched material. So as soon as you see stretched material, there's probably a rat hole nearby. Just have to find it. This is not it. This is just a cool little hideaway corner. The one that you're looking for. If you go over to this area, you can see there's another tuckaway corner. Again, not it. You can go up. Now, because you can go up, there's a lot of space to move around back in here. And yeah, because it is so thin, you can build a lot back in here and have it be really strong just because of that reason. Because it's a smaller area to build, harder to raid. You wouldn't be able to really soak anything here unless you did body soaking. And nobody wants to deal with that. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pass on that opportunity. Let's go ahead and go volumetric fog 1 to return it to normal. And then you can also go up in this zone right here. So it's kind of like a multi-point rat hole. And boom, I believe, yeah, that one's just a surface up there. But you can kind of see that there's a few areas that you can easily tuck away and kind of put like a glyph platy or something like that in the region. Now, lots of little areas. If you go down this canyon, I swear there's a million of these things. So you can literally just go wherever you want and just look up basically, and you will find a rat hole somewhere in this canyon. So just a good spot to have access to. Now, rat hole number 4. This is another one that you can access pretty easily. This is inside of the new island. And yeah, so basically you're going to get over to the new castle on the new island. Once you're at the new castle, you're going to go to this specific pillar. Once you're at this specific pillar, you're going to walk in this hole, and then you're inside of the castle. That is the only entrance point to it. But there are quite a few areas that you can build inside of this. If you can actually Pelagornis to the other side of this, This is I don't know how you would raid this point right here. You could Pelagornis to the other side of it and then essentially have, I don't know, you can't even crouch over there. So someone would also have to throw a Pelagornis out in order to raid it. You will get stuck as well, like I just did right there. But you can also go, the entire rest of this thing as well is buildable. And again, you can kind of get to a couple Pelagornis cracks like that one right there. And then you can build this way as well. But a good overall base location, and you can see that there's lots of areas you could throw a Pelagornis out and get to the additional locations. And just, yeah, it's a really strong area. And you can build pretty much the entire thing because you can kind of slip into the walls like I did right there. And then kind of move around using those walls. So definitely pretty strong. Good rat hole. Not bad, but good for sure. Wish it had a little bit more space in some of the cracks, but we don't complain about, just free space. So, all right, rat hole number 5 on the list. I'm saying rat hole number 5, even though we're probably on like what, 7 or 8 at this point. This one is a very different rat hole. All right, so I'm gonna ghost. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to go to a rat hole that's very different. This one right here, just so you can see where we're at. Yep, there's the cords. There's the little floating thingy in the, whatever you want to call it. If you go down here, you can go into this little hole and you can go back in here. Now, a good overall rat hole, nothing great, not a lot of space, but you can build in this entire thing. And you can see that I'm tucked away underneath right now. And yeah, just not a ton of space, but there is space in here. You can build in the entire thing. Because it's that one little entrance right there, it's very easy to hold. If you were to place like a couple of players only turrets right here, early game with a couple of, what are they called? I've got them right here. Vacuum compartments would make it very, very strong because that is your only entrance point right there. So definitely can use this one for sure. All right, rat hole number 6. All right, another interesting rat hole. This one is stupid. So this one, you're going to get to this giant pillar. Let's set the time of day so I can see again. Get to the giant pillar inside of the chasm. Now, what you're going to do once you get to that point, you are going to go over here. You're going to crouch to drop down. You're going to stay crouched. Now, the next point that we're going to get to is right over here. And essentially what you're going to do, see where it says there's a porthole here? You are swimming. You're going to have to use a Moonpool to get to this one. You put a Moonpool down because this prevents you because you're going to be swimming right there. And then once you're on the other side, you can pick up that Moonpool and it's unraidable because that's the only way to get in here. And yeah. Yep. This is the base. Kinda stupid. Unraidable. Because you literally have to build to get here. So if you place down that Moonpool and then people can't place Moonpools down to get to you, obviously you could do like a frog or maybe a Pelagornis. You could throw it out on the other side over here, or maybe even like a dolphin or something like that to get through this area. But because it's a crouch point, you can't swim through a crouch point, so you could pick this up, or even like, yeah, just get rid of it totally. Put some turrets right there and you'd be pretty set inside of this rat hole right here. So take that one as you want, but it's a very strong rat hole for that purpose, and I'm not going to try and find my way out of it, but you can kind of see the entrance point again. Not a huge rat hole, but it's a good rat hole for sure. All right, so that is rat hole number 6. All right, rat hole number 7. All right, next up on our list is just a tiny little tuckaway zone, just so you can kind of see where I'm at. I like the tiny little tuckaway zones like this. I don't know why I think they're so strong. I just do. This is the new island. I guess it's kind of the new island that got put in place. There's a little kind of like a drop down into here. And this is just a quick spot. You can probably have 1 or 2 things tucked away. I just like tuck away things like this just because you can have access to little hidey holes like I'm in right now. You can put like a generator and a few things up here and no one is going to find you. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like a good defensible one, but it's a good place to tuck some things for sure. All right, rat hole number 8. All right, this one a little bit different. So inside of that same area where I was earlier, you can see this is like the Wyvern scar again. Kind of a different area. So if you go over here, you can put a foundation right where I'm looking right now. And then I'm going to try and land on it, which is the hard part. And I'm going to land on it. There we go. And then you can crouch in. The only way to get to this area is to place a foundation down and then crouch through. And then you get to the other side of this, and it's a decent sized rat hole. Nothing great by any means, but because it's got a lot of space on the inside right here, rat holes, we're just looking for a little bit of space. It's a good space. You can put a couple of generators in hidden areas, which I like a lot, and then fill this room with turrets. You got yourself a small base location. Now, because you can only get in and out through this little crouch area, you can technically get it in without a foundation with a Pteranodon or something like that, but it is a good tuckaway little zone. So definitely capitalize on that because it's just a good area to be. I think that's the last one. I was wrong. There's 10. All right. So next on our list, and I kind of have this one just because I like it. This is more of a cave location. It's an old school base. They kind of made a little different. So this is the actual desert right here. And there's like a little bit of a cliff above it. And then it's a not crouch point, but a walk point. And I'm pretty sure carbos can't fit in here. It's only runnable. And then it goes all the way to the back over here. Just a nice little flat area. So if you're having a bunch of turrets on players only and like a small little entrance in the back, not a bad overall thing to have. So certainly a usable base location. Nothing great, but a good overall area. I'm pretty sure that's the last one. Yep. So that is our last one. But I'm sure there are plenty more, but hopefully this video showed you some of them. And if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. All right, Teach. Ow.